In this series, we will make a basic but rich in functionality todo application with Laravel 5.8. The main purpose of this series is to get started with Laravel. You will be learning all the basic and important parts of this framework. Let's get started. What you will learn in this series: 1. Installing and setting up Laravel locally. 2. Models, views, and controllers MVC. 3. Database, migrations, and Eloquent ORM. 4. Authentication, email verification, and password reset. 5. Eloquent relationships and image upload. So, here is a short introduction about Laravel. Laravel is the most popular PHP framework built by Taylor Otwell and community. It uses MVC architecture pattern. It provides a lot of features like a complete authentication system, database migrations, a powerful ORM, pagination, and so on. Before creating the application, you will need to have PHP 7.2 and MySQL and Composer installed. I use Laravel, which is a package that comes with PHP, MySQL, and Apache. Composer is a dependency manager for PHP. It's similar to NPM, which is a dependency manager for JavaScript. Also, read the server requirements for Laravel if you run into installation errors. To install Laravel, we need to use Composer. You can go to the official page of Composer to download and install it. Laravel provides an installer which can be used for creating Laravel projects. So, go to your localhost directory and open in command prompt. It can be installed with Composer, create -project -prefer-dist Laravel /Laravel todo 5.8 *, and hit enter, then wait for Composer to finish the downloading of Laravel project. After successful operation, it will look like this in terminal. Let's talk about model, view, controller. A model is used to interact with the database, and of course it does not have to be a database. It could be a JSON file or some other resource. A controller contains the logic, for example how to validate form data and save a resource to the database by interacting through model. View is the user interface of the application that contains HTML or the presentation markup. It can also have logic, in other words loops and conditionals. Template engines are used to embed logic in views. Laravel has Blade template engine that is used for adding logic inside the views. You can read more about MVC at Wikipedia. Let's look at the basic folder structure of Laravel application like views, models, and controllers, etc. In Laravel, there are two roots file web.php and api.php. Web.php file is used for registering all the web routes like example.com/about or example.com/contact. api.php is used for registering all the routes related to an API. We are only using web routes, so don't worry about any API routes. Models are stored in app directory, and there is a default user model that comes with Laravel for authentication purposes. If you look at the app directory then http, you will find a controllers directory. This controllers directory has all the controllers, and there are some default controllers for authentication. Views can be found in resources, views, and welcome. Blade.php is a default view provided by Laravel. Laravel views have a blade.php extension, so whenever you create a view, don't forget to add the Blade extension. Resources, Sass has all Sass files, and JS has Vue.js components and Bootstrap files. We won't talk about that. You can put your CSS, JS, and all other static assets in public directory. Config directory has all the configuration files related to our application like database, session, and other configurations. We will talk about config in the next tutorial. There are other directories, but you don't need to worry that. As I am using Laravel, I am just going to open that application and going to click on reload. It will ask permission to make necessary changes in Windows hosts file. Now I am going to Google Chrome and type https:// and type todo.dev and hit enter. Now you can see our project is ready, and we can see an welcome screen in our browser. In this series 1 I'm going to use PHP Storm. You can use your favorite text editor like Sublime Text or Visual Studio Code, etc. Now inside our PHP Storm we need to open our Laravel project. In this case we have todo directory. Let's open it. Routing is a mechanism by which requests are routed to the code that handles them, and that code in MVC is a controller method. For example, a single forward slash will be your home and single forward slash with about will be your about page. If you open up the web.php file, you will see just one route. We have a single forward slash route that uses a callback or closure, making a GET request that returns a view named welcome. In a route, the first parameter is the URL and the second parameter can be a callback or controller action. Let's create a controller named pages controller and update our route. In Laravel, we have the ability to name our routes, which comes in handy when you change the URL later on. We will define two routes for our index page and about page. Get method is used for retrieving data from the server. In our case, we will always use get routes for displaying a plain view or a view with data. With get method we can pass data to the query string, for example search term or date range for a report, but you should not insert sensitive data like email or password since it's visible in the URL. For passing sensitive data to the server, when we submit a form, we use post method because the data is sent in the request body. There are other request methods, but the most commonly used are get and post. Put method is used for updating data and delete for deleting data. Now we need to create a pages controller, and for that we can open our file explorer and go to Laravel, then www, then our todo directory. Inside the todo directory we need to open our terminal or command prompt with this directory. In this case I am using cmder to use our PHP artisan command. CMDER comes with Git and other tools, and it has some cool features, you can find it handy. Let's type this command, php artisan make :controller pages controller. Laravel uses autoloading and all the classes are namespaced, so if you want to create a controller inside a subdirectory then you should use artisan. It will create the directory if it does not exist. Now use another command. php artisan make :controller admin login controller. This command will create a login controller inside a subdirectory called admin. Most of the stuff can be done through artisan, which is a command line tool that comes with Laravel. You can create models, controllers, migrations and other files with artisan. Now go back to our IDE and open the pages controller located in app.php controllers. It has a class pages controller that's extending controller class, which will provide us all the controller functionality. It also has a request class imported with use statement, which is used to access form data and validation. In this controller, we need two methods, namely index and about. Both will return views. Let's add them. Index method is returning index view stored inside the pages folder, and about method is returning a view named about. In Laravel, you don't have to specify view extension, and if you have a view inside a folder, for example index inside posts folder, then use dots like view (posts.index) then close parenthesis. Also, if you want to see the list of all the registered routes in your application, then type the artisan command, php artisan route :list. First of all, we will create a layout file which will have all the markup that gets repeated by views like doctype, head, and body tags. Usually, layout files are stored in Layouts folder in Views directory, named app. You can name it whatever you want. Let's create an app, blade.php file after creating Layouts folder, then we are going build our application layout page. Blade directives start with @ symbol. @include is used for including a separate view file. As you can see, inc is the name of the folder and navbar is the name of the view. @yield will output the content of the view section that's extending this layout. Double curly braces are used for echoing a variable or calling a helper function. Asset helper is used for generating URLs to public assets stored in public directory like CSS, images, and JavaScript. Note that Laravel comes with Bootstrap 4 and that's what we are including. Let's create Navbar, blade.php in inc folder and add the markup. Inside the navbar we are using URL helper, which is used for generating application URLs. Root function is used to generate URLs of named routes. Config is used for retrieving values from files inside the config folder. App.name will return name value from the app.php config file. Second parameter is a fallback value or else it will return null. You can use dot syntax for accessing values inside of an array, for example config parenthesis file dot array dot string comma fallback value closing parenthesis. Now we also need footer component for our application layout. So, let's create another PHP file inside our inc directory. Now go to the Bootstrap example page and copy our necessary footer elements and paste into our footer component. Now it's time to create our index page inside the Pages folder. Now we need to write this code to use our application layout. All the content of your page will be inside the @section directive. And create another page called about. As you have noticed, we have a yield directive inside the title HTML tag, and we are defining the section inside our About view, so when you will access the About page from the browser, you will see that the title on the Browser tab is changed. In the next tutorial, we will talk about accessing and updating config values from .env file, then we will create, read, update, and delete to-dos with MySQL database. Feel free to comment below or create an issue in the GitHub repo. Link has been given in the description. Subscribe my channel and click to bell icon for the upcoming video tutorials.